Hi, everybody. I am so excited. I'm just waiting for more people to start to come on. This is really exciting because Shaindy P and I are going live together, and I'm going to wait until she comes on too. And this is terrific. Tonight we are going to be talking about empowering children, and just in time for the Yontif holiday break. And who better to be doing this with than Shaindy, who is so positive, and she just gave such an amazing live last night about her story and her backstory. And so on the heels of that, with I'm sure like a little bit of an adrenaline kind of reduction, we're just gonna wait for, oh yay, here she is. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Are you on? You are.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. I was just saying on the heels of last night's incredible live. This is
Thank
so exciting.
You're
And
so
I was
sweet.
saying, like, do you have that adrenaline kind of like when it goes down, like when you're so excited and then so like so much emotion, and then it just kind of drops.
It was
So
a lot. It was a lot. I like when it was over, I was like, whoa, did I just say all that? Like, what happened? Because also it was something, hi, Sarah. It was something I was planning to talk about for a while. I wanted to make sure that like I was ready to talk about it and like really like not gonna bring my emotional, like not still be in an emotional state about it, like kind of be past it. Hi, Malky. Hi, Hannah. So yeah, it worked out well, especially because I have my surgery coming up. So I wanted to like clarify beforehand why I was going to be gone for a little bit. So I'm happy we did that, and I'm happy to be here with you today. So thank you for having me on your live.
I was just thinking, like, if there's ever a holiday that really suggests and stresses like the backstory, it's Pesach. Like the whole thing kind of going into the Seder and going into like understanding that we like how we grew as people kind of with our backstory, how we continued, how we took it, how we evolved. And there's so much parallel that I don't know if you did it on purpose or by accident or just kind of like, yeah.
Totally not. Totally not. This is the timing of like, this is when everything worked out for me. So yeah. But
okay, amazing. So
wait, do you want to introduce yourself to any of like my followers that are
yes, of course. Okay, so my name is Chasya Bachko, otherwise known as Dr. B, and this is Gobi Society, and I've been a psychologist in private practice for almost 20 years. And it's my passion and my mission to help children and families. And a lot of what I do is empowering families and kind of making those extra connections to help with a variety of different issues that come up. You had mentioned in your live about frustration and embarrassment, right, and nervousness, and that's like pretty much what I do pretty much all day long. Wow. And it is really like I started this Gobi Society in addition to my private practice, pivoting so that I could reach out and touch more people and really give more advice and more resource. And so when you had mentioned that like you took your experience and kind of like found that inner voice, it resonated, Shaindy, like so much with me, because that is so much like what I have tried to do in the short amount of time ever since like Corona. It really like has been that I just wanted to take the practice kind of and broaden it and kind of reach more voices. And I can tell you, it took me a very long time even to know how to do a live, like what to press. Like my patients had to help me.
I'm
saw not technological.
With Abby.
Right. So I am not technological at all. So I'm like really excited every time like I'm able to follow directions on how to do something like technological. Like, thank you. Baruch Hashem.
That's amazing. Wow. So do you want to tell everyone what we're going to be talking about tonight?
Yeah.
I'm like in the midst of, I'm literally sitting in a room that's in the middle of being Pesach cleaned.
Oh my gosh. I
So
guess,
funny.
okay, I guess you're staying home for Pesach.
We are home for Pesach and we're moving right after Pesach. So it's like packing and cleaning all at once.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Wow. So I think that that's really the message that so this month my all of my lives have been dedicated to empowering, like empowering March. And I feel like one of the things that I've been asked so much about is how to, especially like how do we empower children, given like that, you know, you are and what you do and how you help children and you reach out to children all the time, but like
Hold on,
vacations
hold
in
on,
general. And I
hold
think
on
that
one
just
second.
like this, oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Right.
I thought I was like,
So,
you're on
oh,
live again?
I think that a lot of people are asking where you're moving to,
I'm
Shaindy.
staying in Monsey,
Do you want to
everybody. Don't get
share?
too concerned. I'm staying in Monsey. We're just moving to another house. Right. So you're saying about empowering children, right? So
Right.
yeah, continue. Sorry, I just totally cut you off.
No, not at all. So I think that maybe we can kind of like give what we can to really give that extra chizuk to parents, especially like on the heels of Yontif, having to like balance everything. And really like there is so much empowerment that happens. And especially like your message last night was so empowering. It was like
Thank
this
you.
beautiful message. And I think that, you know, like let's field some ideas about what to do to empower and how we can be what we want to be to our children, to our students, to our friends.
Right. So I'll tell you basically like what I have to say on the matter. First, I'm not a parent, so I'll just preface by saying that. But I have been teaching little girls for I'm going on now to my 7th year with the same age. So I've learned a lot from my experience as a student and took that to my experience as a teacher and the focus of what my focus is as a teacher and what my outlook is as a teacher. So I don't like to paint negatives. I think I discussed that with you. I don't like to say like, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. There are definitely many things that are wrong with the society, but one thing that I had, Baruch Hashem, a good school experience, but one thing that I did feel is that there was so much focus on from sometimes from teachers on not the wrong things, but different things. Like I felt like teachers would value you based on how well you did in school or just different like statuses and different things. And it was very, it was eye-opening to me. And it was also for me when I see something that like almost when I see something wrong, I always feel like I want to change that, like, they say like, be the change you wish to see in the world. So I'm not I'm not any incredible person, but I was like, it's something that always intrigued me, and definitely like woke something inside of me. And then let's just say this much. It's funny because the two things that I do now, I teach and I sing, I never planned on doing. When people would ask me what I wanted to do, I would say either I was going to be a makeup artist at one point.
Ooh.
I was going to be in something with like interior design. I don't know. It was very funny. And then there was one point where I was going to be a child life specialist and then a music therapist. I was like very down. Teaching and singing were never a thing. My teaching job kind of like was by mistake fell into my lap situation based on a long story in my college that had closed down last minute, etc. So I found myself just teaching. Esty, she's so cute. Esty, we love Esty B.
Hi, Esty.
So with teaching, it was something that I fell into, and right away at the beginning, I was like, this is going to be so much fun. Like, this is going to be great because I'm going to have these students and we're just going to have the best time. And I said, I want to be the teacher that I wish I had. And I always say, and I said this last night, that I learn all the time. They say, I also say, hello made me, like you learn from other people what not to do. So when you see something wrong or something that you think like that you wish was different, and when you're in that position, do it differently, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, the minute that I started with the teaching and I was like just looking around and I was like, what do these kids need? Like if I was in this position, if I was the child, which I was, what do I need? Like, what do I need differently? And I think the first thing that came to my mind, and this is going back 6 years, was like, I just need to feel like my teacher loves me, my teacher believes in me, and not based on anything to do with my family or how smart I am or how well I behave even, but just based on the fact that I'm a person and based on, you know, what, just like who I am. And I don't even mean like, oh, because I behave well or because I listen nicely, even if I can't get the chumash right. Like, but I still did my best. No, even if you didn't do your best, even if you didn't do your best, you still deserve that empowerment. You still deserve to be believed in. And I'll give you an example. You know, I had a student one year who had a very hard time with telling the truth. And, you know, let's say she would say something that, you know, wasn't true. And someone said, what grade do I teach? Pre-1A and first grade. So if, you know, and she wouldn't say the truth. And then I would say, you know, sweetie pie, is that the truth? And she would say, no. And I would say, oh my goodness, you admitted that you didn't say the truth? I'm so proud of you. Wow. Instead of focusing on like the negative, you know, instead of like, you got to tell the truth. Come on, we don't lie in this class. Instead, it's like, and not on that type of thing, but in some situations, I really believe that picking on the little good things that they do, even when the whole situation is wrong, let's say, right? And then you find that little thing that they did right, and you empower them based on that. That kid didn't lie for a very long time after that. I'll just say that much. Like, she really didn't. And I think that's amazing. And, you know, I've had many children.
I totally, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
No, go ahead. No, I think like that totally resonates with me. One of my big beliefs is called positivity connects. So it's better to start and to lowball things so that the child feels like they really did well than to set the expectations too high. So,
100%.
you know, so even when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to anything, it's like just have something really small. And then
is that one of my students who's on? I think that's one of my students on. I think that's Shauna.
Oh, that's so
it's
nice.
Shauna. Okay, so Shauna is, oh, she was my student. Let me see how many years ago. She's in 5th grade now, and I taught her pre-1A and first. She is such a special girl. You don't even know. This girl is incredible in every single aspect. We're actually working on doing a little musical project together. She's very special. But Shauna will tell you, in my class, we dance, and we dance in the morning, we dance in the afternoon. You know, I also like, a big part of also my teaching is whatever I didn't want to do as a student, I had a hard time sitting still. I don't really make my students sit for that long. You know, let's say we're sitting or we're writing, and then I'm like, okay, girls, who's having a hard time sitting? If I'm having a hard time sitting, they're having a hard time sitting. So let's go out of our seats. Let's sing the Shorshim, jumping up and down. And you just always have to get into the mindset of what kids need.
And every child thinks differently, and every child learns differently, right? So like there's some kids who are like such frontal learners, like they want to raise their hand, they want you to teach them. There are other kids that like they don't have the attention span for that. And so they want like the creative work. There's some kids that are dancing, there's some kids that are singing, there's some kids that are doing art. And I think that like Chanoch Lenar Al Pi Darko, and like every
I say that all the time.
Right? And every derech is so different. And it's so important that a child feels that like that you're teaching them. And then with parents too, like, you know, in a family where every child is exactly the same, that would be very odd. Like everyone has like a superpower. Everyone has something that's really great. Yeah. And I even feel like going into the Seder, you know, where it really is all about kids, but like having that everyone's going to do something. You know, there's some kids that are going to bake. There's some kids that are going to give the great Torah. There's some kids that are going to, you know, be the entertainment. There's some kids that are going to dance around. Like it really is so important that we just appreciate that every child like has something beautiful, unique to contribute. And like you were saying, they don't have to be 100% successful. They just have to be. Right? And like, that's it.
Exactly. Be. Go be. That's what you talk about. And I think it's amazing. And well, there's so many aspects here. So firstly, there's the aspect of figure out for each child. And this is whether you're coming as a parent or even as a sibling, understanding your siblings, as a teacher, as anybody, you know, there's always kids to understand. There's a lot of high school girls saying here that they can hardly sit still in class. I had a hard time sitting still in class as well. I also had a hard time with frontal teaching when the teachers would just talk and talk and talk and talk, and we would have to listen. I do very little frontal teaching. We do a lot of interactive. I use what's called total participation technique, which is, do you know what that is, TPT?
Yeah.
Where like instead of asking the kids, who knows what part it is, and one kid raises, a few kids raise it, right? So instead, everyone writes down on their little whiteboard and they all hold it up, that idea. But I think the biggest thing is just, I always say this, to be the adult you needed when you were younger. And to just to think into like what each, I have every year different kids with different talents. And I'm not even speaking.
Ooh, hello?
Yeah, I lost
Okay.
it for a second.
Okay.
Let's say I have kids that are really artistic. I am really working on trying to get them to publish a little book, and feel good about that. And to find for each kid what's their special thing. I spoke to a mother recently, not of my students, but just a mother in general, and she was telling me that she her daughter struggles academically, but she has a beautiful voice, so she takes her every now and then to the recording studio and she records a song. And that's just empowering a kid based on what she can do versus what she can't. And I think it's so incredibly important.
Right. Well, Shaindy, because you're, both a teacher and music, so I thought you might appreciate this. So one of the my key things in empowering children is based on the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes.
Really?
Head, shoulders, knees, right? So head is, you want to find their superpower. You want to make them feel like they're the head of something. And that takes either a parent participation or a teacher who's inspiring, or, just some creativity, some extracurricular. So that's the head. You want to find their superpower, both inside of the family too. Because I really do believe that you need to feel valuable in your own unique way, even in your family, not just outside of your family, not just in school or in the real world. But I think that, parents also, it's a nice way to connect. Oh, you're so good at that. Great. And then there's shoulders, and shoulders are empowering your kid to understand how to cope with the worries in life. And there are all different types of ways to do that. I don't know about you, but I'm finding so many kids are struggling with people being mean. And
I
just
thought you were gonna say anxiety. Okay, fine.
Anxiety for sure. But one of the key things, and maybe it's on my brain because I saw 4 patients today, literally today, who were struggling with this one kid. I felt so bad for her. The class voted that she should be kicked out of that she should switch classes. They literally to her face said, "You're annoying. Can you switch classes?" And so she was like, "What do I do?" And then another child whose first cousins told her, "When we all get together, you're not going to be playing with us." What?
So it's crazy. Firstly, it's horrible that kids have to go through that. And that's one thing that I really am into. I am anti-bullying to the max. I've watched people go through it, and it's so my students know there's zero tolerance for bullying in my class. And I actually spoke to my students recently, and remember that they're little, but I speak to them in sometimes an adult, and I spoke to them about this idea. I said, girls, we're all a cup. We all have a cup. And when your cup is full, then you'll get, the whole concept bucket fillers, right? Then you can give to others, right? When you're feeling empty, when you're lacking, that's when you can't give to others. That's when you become a bully. So what's the key? So I asked them, I was like, what's the key to not becoming a bully? And they said, filling up our own cup. I said, great. So we're going to work on empowering ourselves. And we did and we're still in the middle of it, actually. We're in the series of this program of empowering ourselves. And every other day I make them take out their notebooks and write something special about yourself. Right. And not not just oh, I'm pretty, or but something that's you're proud of yourself, or something that you can, and we work on filling our own buckets, filling up ourselves. And that way, and also showing them that that's what's valued. I value when you hold the door for somebody. I value when you love yourself. I value when you believe in yourself. I value when you try, even when it's hard for you. I'm proud of you for trying. I'm not proud. I never would say to a kid, I'm proud of you for getting a good mark. I'm so proud because I know you worked really hard on that. It's when we show them what's valued, and then they begin to, from there, kind of tell themselves what to work on and what's valued, you know.
Right,
And
right. No,
that's what,
100%. Yeah, yeah, like I have, when someone's bullying, it's because they're sad, mad, or feeling bad, right?
yeah. That's great.
And like, right. And so, when we try to empower kids, like how to handle like when people are being mean. So I tell them you have one of four choices. The first choice is you could be mean back, but I could tell you right now that's probably not going to lead to your feeling any better. The second choice is that you could ignore it, but you're probably going to feel bad inside because like you're ignoring that someone was just truly mean. The third
Right.
choice is that you could say, and like you can say it in a nice but solid way, like that really wasn't nice. I didn't expect that you were going to do that. That really hurt my feelings. Like confront them in a way that's like, not confrontational, but like that expresses how you feel. And then the fourth is you can make that problem be as big or as small as you want. If you take that problem, that experience, and you stick it in your pocket, and then you go home with it, and you can tell somebody else about what happened, like so that you don't have to get
100%.
bogged down in something that's so bad and so horrible. And so like, again, so the
100%.
shoulders is like what we could do to help our kid cope. And then the knees are, we can model for them flexibility, right? Like flexibility, understanding that things don't always go your way, and by reminding them and reinforcing them. Like I do this whole flex chart that I have, because really flexibility is such a key component to like really being able to cope with the world. So that's head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Toes is like your thing, which is to make them feel like really good about themselves. Like go up on your toes, like you go up, right? So you can stay positive, use compliments, like really suggest that like it's the effort that matters. Like all of those things really empower a child. It resonated with me when it comes to like the effort. So I have in my family, and I've told this to my patients, it's called my last name is Bochco, the Bochco 100. So if some child in my family studies for a test, and so before the test, like that night, before they go to sleep, I'm going to say to them, Bochco 100. And so anything you get after that is like, it's sprinkles, it's extra. It's not the ice cream, right? It's like, okay, so you can get 140 on the test. I don't care. But it's always about the effort. And I think that like, if we as the adults, as the teacher, as the parent, as the doctor, like if we really strengthen the idea that effort matters and that we want to see what's inside of a person, like just imagine, like that's such a great way just to, give forth to the world,
And
so.
I think that's amazing. That's the value that I have in my classroom. The kids know I do not care if you had a 0 or 100, like not even 0, just if you know it or you don't. It's before we take a test, actually, we stand up and we all say, the most important thing when we take a test is just to be honest and try our best, and nothing else matters. Woo! And they know it.
That's so cute.
And then we do like positive affirmations, like I am smart, I can do it. We do so much of that, and it's actually cute. The first day of school every year in first grade, I do like my introduction to first grade is that we can do anything that we put our minds to, as long as like we tell ourselves. So they like decorate this wand, and we take the wand whenever you have the word I can't. So, and you're thinking, I can't, you take this wand that you decorate, they keep it in the nest, and like you wave it, and it makes the T disappear, and it becomes I can. And it's just like that, reminding themselves like they can really do anything that they put their minds to. And I think also, can I just say one thing? A big part of this is teachers or parents or mentors, whatever, really just like giving to kids. Like for me, I really try, like sometimes my students' parents will tell me like, hey, we're in Muncie, because I don't teach in Muncie, I teach in Manhattan. Hey, we're in Muncie, and I'll like meet them up for ice cream or something. I really, all my students, even once they're not my students anymore, I really maintain a connection with them. I've had students that have like moved to Israel like a few years ago that I still like FaceTime from time to time. I think it's important for kids to have that, like not, just my teacher believes in me and my teacher loves me and my teacher thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, and not based on how well I do or how many times I listen. Sometimes it's my most behaviorally challenging students that I end up becoming the closest to. And it's, it's the minute that you just like start throwing in that positivity and like just and again, like I said earlier, like not embracing, but like figuring out what like they have that does make them special. And not, kids are so often, people in general, and by the way, this doesn't really apply only to kids. I think this is with people.
Oh, for
People like
sure.
ourselves, we're so easy to criticize what we're not good at, or what we struggle with, that sometimes you have to remember that you have to actually just focus on what you're good at. Focus on what you're good at. Focus on what you're proud of yourself for. Focus on what you've achieved, what you've overcome, what you're overcoming. You know, someone sent me a message today about wanting to want. You know, and I was so moved by her message. A very beautiful message, and I'm very into the privacy of people's messages, so I don't want to share what it was about. But she was sharing something with me that she wants to do something. And I said to her, that's amazing. And she was like, she was telling me that she's, you know, there's so much that she's not happy with about herself, but that she wants to do this thing. And I'm like, that's just shows what a special person you are, that you want to do that good thing. That's incredible. And you know, it's so much of that. It's so much of that.
Right. What resonated with me actually with what you had been talking about, that like through when you didn't have a voice, it was like, okay, wait, Hashem, you gave this to me, and now you're taking it away, like what? And I think that what resonated with me, and this is something that like I stress a lot, is that, you know, you're not just one part. Like, you are a multitude of a lot of different things. So if you're going to focus on like that one thing that's not going well in your day, then really what you're saying is, you know, it's funny. I have this patient, and she is an amazing, amazing baker. Like, she's incredible. And she was really upset one day that she had baked like all these amazing pies and none of them came out good. And I said to her, I'm like, wait a second, the way that you're talking, wait, are you a pie? And she's like, oh. I'm like, yeah, like the way that, if that's what you're identifying with, like that's who you are. Like, am I going to call you apple? Should I call you cherry? Like, come on.
Right.
And it really is true. Like, you know, sometimes the anxiety or just the stress, like, you know, as people or as parents or the kids themselves, like, we're not just that one thing that we're being critical about. We're a whole big package, and like it's good 100%. To focus on the whole package.
It's funny that you're saying that, by the way, because I didn't even mention this in the live. It's actually one of the many things I left out last night because I specifically didn't want to read from like, you know, notes or anything. But something that really, really like I had like in reference to this is that my whole life, I never allowed myself to become identified as someone that sings, you know? And I always say this, that, you know, after 120, when I leave this world, I do not want to be remembered as a singer. I want to hopefully be remembered as someone who did good with, you know, as like a kind person, a good person, like, I don't want to be remembered as a singer, because who and what is that? And I never allowed myself to become defined by something that I was necessarily, I guess you could say, like good at, firstly because it was God-given and, you know, that whole thing. But and then when I lost my voice, I was talking to someone in the music world, and she's like, it's incredible that when you lost your voice, you didn't like fall into a depression or something, like you didn't like lose it. And I said, you know what, I think my phone is dying. Okay, a big part of that was that I had other things to be. I wasn't like losing my whole identity because, you know, I didn't, and I think that's interesting that you're saying that, because like when people you identify yourself as your failure, then it hits you so much harder. And when you allow yourself to remember that it's, you know.
Right. And sometimes it's hard because right. And sometimes it's really hard because like I get all the time, like, but wait a second, I'm trying so hard at this and I'm doing it for the right reason, and it's still not going so easy and it's not going so well. Like, you know, there's always like, you know, feelings that are associated, even when it's for the purest and everything is going well. But, you know, life happens. Things don't always go well. And I think that, like, again, if we're only going to identify with like that one element, then it's going to be much, much harder to really like handle. And, you know, it's very difficult.
And I think also a huge part of this is just like approaching everything with positivity is such an important aspect. Like, again, like even when things go wrong in my class, like me and my students, we all laugh about it together. Like it's we always talk about like framing a situation, and it helps you to deal with things like that when you just approach it with positivity and you just, I don't know.
Right.
I
Right.
don't even know
I
where I'm
remember
getting at, but like,
it was funny. I remember like, so I started this initiative, Bowie Chala, that is like my baby. Like I feel so passionate about that. These wonderful women in the neighborhood, we bake challah, and then and women drop off challah, and we package it and then deliver it to Avelim for an entire year to let them know that like
wow,
we have like we're giving you a hug and we want to care about you. But I
that's
remember, and
beautiful. You do so many good things. It's
oh no,
amazing.
please. But this is really funny because the first day, the first person, like I was all filled with like so much love and like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. And I went to this place, to this house in Far Rockaway, and I knocked on the door and I'm like carrying this thing and it's so beautiful in the bag. And the lady opens up the door and I'm like, hi, I'm here. And she says to me, oh my gosh, go away. And I'm like, what? She's like, yes, go away. You're hurting me. Now I have to remember challah was something that was like so beautiful. And how could you do it? And maybe you're not even kosher. And she slams the door in my face.
Oh,
And I'm like,
no.
what? What just happened? Oh no.
Right.
Now, from that experience, okay, so from that experience, first of all, I was like crushed. But then I was like, wait a
Of
second. I
course.
have to make sure that the hechsherim are good. I have to make sure that like, maybe that like I have to take more seriously like the different toppings and the different
You
this.
learn
And like
from the experience.
I really took it, and like I'm telling you, it was a real game changer. But like at first I was like, wait a second, oh my goodness. And then I'm like, Kasia, you are not challah. You are not. You are like
Right.
you're
Right. That's
trying,
amazing.
but you are not. And really like it totally was a game changer. Like sometimes like these things, you have to pivot and you have to just know that, it's all par for the course.
For sure. I think that's amazing. I think we should, before we end, I think we should open up to like, if anybody has any
Yeah.
specific questions. Um, Dr. Bochco. Do you go as like Dr. Bochco?
Or Dr. B. Dr. B is good.
Dr. B, right? Dr. B. So Dr. B definitely is great at, she always has such great things to say. So definitely feel free. Literally, I can try so hard to get good grades and I can try to stay positive, but then fail time and time again. So Liba, that's really, really hard. And I'm sorry, but here's what I would say. And then I want to hear what Dr. would say. I would say focus on the fact that you're trying your best. I think that's the most important thing. Like I just said, literally all that matters is that you're trying your best, and then find other things. So if academics is not your strong suit, that's totally fine. Find something else and that aside from your academics that makes you feel fulfilled and that you're good at. I don't know if you're artistic or if you're you even something not even that you're good at, but just something that someone was saying earlier about the bucket filler method. And I want to just clarify this. What I was saying on my method of the bucket filler, I was doing something based off of the bucket filler, not actually following the bucket filler method. That's a whole different story, which we do as well. But sometimes a great way, what we say, like to fill your bucket is by giving to others or by doing for others. Then you end up filling your bucket. Oh, she says I cook. So, I'm very excited to hear when you message me what you're gonna do. That that's gonna, I don't know, do something good with what with your cooking and with what you're
right. And I would add, oh, and she sings. Look at this. Oh no, wait, is that someone else? Okay, someone else sings. Okay, well let me tell you, like if you cook, right? So I think it goes back to what's your goal. Like if you're really working hard academically and it's not coming, then maybe, right, I have three parts. There's the rule, the tool, and the connect. So if the rule is that you want to do well, then we have to maybe fine tune the tools. Like what is the method that you're using in order to study? And if you're a good cook, like, and you're following a recipe, there's so many elements to like following a recipe that could help you in terms of like how you approach things academically. And I think that it might be what the method is that you're doing, and how perhaps you can use your strengths to help you, because there's so many different types of learners. And then finally, there's the connect. And that's the part that, that you were talking about, Shaindy, connecting to yourself, connecting to, to your teacher, connecting to like understanding that it's a relationship. And perhaps in the relationship with your teacher, or in the relationship with, with somebody else that could be helpful academically, you could really like fine tune what's happening. But of course, never identify yourself with being a failing, failing when you're trying hard, because the fact that you're trying, that is a skill, that is a lifelong experience, that is so powerful, that is going to be helpful like long term. And so these are, small, short term, experiences, but the long term, like the fact that you have that resiliency to be able to work is so incredible. But I do feel like if you're putting in all that effort, then maybe we have to fine tune exactly what the tools are and see. But that's awesome that you cook. That's really great.
100%. Okay, so I'm gonna say this much: anybody that has any of the, like Dr. B is literally the person to message, because you could see, like, I love either that your personality is so much of like why people feel so like they want to just like take in what you're saying. It's incredible. Like I'm like I want to start calling you. Like this is amazing. So, definitely follow Gobi.society. She always has. I want to say one thing, by the way, besides the fact that she always has such great pieces of wisdom to share and with such positivity. I was just looking at, I love the layout of your Instagram. It's so colorful. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Her history teacher said to her face that she's stupid. I'm just going to say this much. Like, I can't say been there, done that, but like, I feel like so many of us have had so many negative experiences like that. And it's just like, you can't let that get to you. Like, literally, like I look at people that talk like that, like with pity.
Right.
Like,
sad, mad, feeling bad. That teacher's got something else in her life. And that, that's that backstory, and you're being the target, but.
And reach out to Dr. B, because she's amazing. Okay, so it was so special to do this live with you.
Thank you.
Like
my gosh, I got a chance.
I'm with you. I like learn new things, and it's really amazing. And you're so like articulate. You always have the best pieces of advice. So thank you for what you do for this world. It's amazing.
Thank you, Shaindy. Thank you for your positivity. We should bottle you and like spread you around. Oh my goodness. Wow. And like why should all of the teachers and the people in the role model position really take your responsibility and you like make it like into the stratosphere. It is so beautiful and it's so powerful, and it really is important, because the people that you impact, and you impact like young and medium age and older, but like positive and uplifting. So it's really, really, it's a pleasure. Wow.
So sweet. Thank you. And I'm just saying one thing, Dance with Racy is on. She's one of those people that I feel like what she's doing for the teenage crowd is incredible. Like, she does, I don't know if you don't follow her, you should be following her. She does so many. See, it's not about what she does, it's about how she does it. She brings so much happiness and like excitement to everybody's lives. It's incredible. And I think that's what I want to end off with. Be the adult you wish be the adult you needed. Obviously I try to be the teacher that I needed when I was younger. So be the adult that Miriam, hi Miriam. Miriam's my amazing sister-in-law. Be the adult you needed when you were younger, and just think, like, always think from the kids' perspective, and think what kids need. And it's just focusing on the right things. It's not focusing on, like what Sarliba was saying. Like, it's not focusing on the grades. As my students, we work really hard in my class. We really, really do. We learn a lot, but learning's exciting, and it's so not about that. It's about just, figuring out but just like empowering yourself, empowering others, and just being, like I said, from the adult perspective, be the adult you needed when you were younger. So,
Yes, and this live is going to be saved.
I'm losing you. already. So everybody, happy Pesach cleaning and happy Pesach packing, or whatever Pesach is looking like on your end. And Dr. B, thank you for having me. Such an honor.